The work order is the central entity of field service and defines all the important information of work to complete at the customer's location. After scheduling it to a field technician, he or she can view it on their mobile device. They will see customer information and location, step-by-step instructions and parts to use, asset and equipment information, billing and pricing details, and more. Having this information at the field technician's fingertips can help them plan their day and set them up for success while adapting to changing customer needs. Before we dive into the details, let's see the full life cycle of a work order from creation to close. First, let's look at how work orders are created. Cases can be converted into work orders. This is helpful for when a case cannot be resolved remotely and you need to send someone on site. From the case form, a customer service rep can choose Convert to Work Order from the ribbon. Opportunities can also be converted into work orders. This helps organizations send someone on site to consult with the customer, present a quote, or install equipment. Similar to before, from the opportunity form, a sales rep can choose Convert to Work Order. You can also create work orders related to IoT alerts. IoT alerts are data from internet-connected sensors that alert you when there are anomalies in the data. As an example, a temperature sensor on a piece of equipment created an alert, and we can quick create a work order from it. The original IoT alert is referenced right on the work order. Beyond these examples, work orders can be created from customer phone calls, emails, web portals, from other systems, or even just manually. However work orders are created, they will first have a status of Open-Unscheduled, meaning they haven't been scheduled to anyone yet. The Work Order Summary tab holds basic information like who the customer is, what type of work needs to be done, service level agreements that need to be met, and the specific purpose of the work, called an incident type. The Settings section holds information for how the work order should be scheduled, like the priority and promised time windows. Most importantly, the Location section defines where the work order needs to be completed, and this helps you dispatch the closest person to do it. Lastly, the work order also has products or parts that may be needed, services or labor that may be billed, and service tasks that are a checklist of things to do on site. When the work order is ready to be scheduled, you can mark it as such and select Book at the top. This will display a list of resources who are close to the work order and who have the skills and other qualifications to do the job. From here, a dispatcher can select Book to assign it. Then on the schedule board, you can see the booked work order, along with the route the field technician will take. And you can see this in context of all other routes. Back on the work order, the status becomes Open-Scheduled automatically. Since the work order is scheduled, the field technician can view it on his or her mobile app. First thing they'll do is mark they are traveling to the location. And this will change the color on the schedule board for the dispatcher to see. When they arrive, they will indicate they are beginning the work order by changing the booking status to In Progress, and then begin the work. While working, the technician will record important details, going through the checklist of tasks, using a product from their truck, billing for labor, adding notes, whether text, photo, video, or voice, and capturing a customer's signature. When they're done, they can change the booking status to Completed. After syncing, the booking will show as completed on the schedule board, and the work order status is automatically changed to Open Completed. Also, used products are logged as customer assets installed on site. Back on the work order, the reviewer can see changes made by the field technician, such as the captured customer signature. If everything is completed successfully and the customer approves, the status can be changed to Close Posted, indicating it is finished. This will trigger an invoice with the used products and services of the work order listed as line items. Before using work orders, the system administrators and business managers need to create administrative data first. This is data that is generally entered when the system is first set up and is updated periodically as the business changes, but definitely not on a daily or weekly basis. From the Field Service app, go to the Settings section. Here you can create master data for things like work order types, products and services, price lists, incident types, and more. Let's start with work order types. Work order types are a high-level classification of work orders. They help dispatchers and technicians know in general what the work entails, and are also helpful for reporting and business analysis. Common examples include diagnosis and repair, inspection, installation, or preventative maintenance. Simply select New to add a new one. Other than assigning a name, you can also decide if a price list should automatically be added when the work order is of this type, if it is taxable, and if the work order creator must add an incident type along with this work order type. Next, you may want to add service task types. These are checklist items that technicians should consider when completing work orders. As an example, technicians may need to confirm the part to replace, document findings, and read diagnostic codes. By adding service task types and settings, you are creating the catalog of checklist items that can later be added to work orders. As an example, a work order creator can add 1, 5, 10, or all of these tasks to a work order, telling the technician what to do. Other than a name, you can add an estimated duration, which can add to the total duration of a work order, as we'll see later on with incident types. Next, you'll want to add a product catalog. Field Service uses the same product catalog as Dynamics 365 Sales and Customer Service. Just like service tasks, this is a list of products that can be added to work orders later on. First, create a product like you would any by assigning a name and basic details. To use the product on work orders and even bill the customer for, go to the Field Service section and add a Field Service product type. There are 3 options: inventory, non-inventory, and service. Here is an example of an inventory type product. This is one that is tracked in inventory. Set Convert to Customer Asset to Yes if you want this product to become a customer asset when it is used on a work order. This will allow you to build service history. Next, enter a list price. This is the price that will be billed to customers if this product is not part of a price list. Next, here's an example of a service. The Field Service product type is service, and it cannot be converted to a customer asset. Because the service is labor, the list price represents a default hourly rate. And lastly, here's an example of a non-inventory product. These are ones that are not tracked in inventory. Generally, non-inventory items are lower value and are not converted to customer assets and tracked, though you still have the option to. After creating products and services, you need to add them to price lists to define how they will be priced when used on work orders and billed to customers. Go to Price Lists, select a price list, and add each product or service as price list items with the appropriate price. Note that the price for a service is the hourly rate. In addition, for service type products, you can add them as Field Service price list items that give extra pricing flexibility. Some examples are flat fee, which turn the service into a consistent charge that is not dependent on time. Another example is minimum charge duration, which makes the first X minutes of the service free. Next is the most important part of work order master data: incident types. Incident types are specific work order issues. They can represent a procedure, a common customer complaint, or even an error code on a machine. Incident types also serve as work order templates and are a collection of products, services, and service tasks. By adding an incident type to a work order, products, services, and service tasks are automatically added as well. This makes creating common work orders quicker and easier. To create an incident type, start by giving it a name. In the Details tab, enter how long the incident type generally takes. This will factor into scheduling later on. Then add the service tasks in the order they should be completed according to the line order value. The duration of the incident will be the sum of the service task durations. Or you can leave the service task durations blank and simply enter a duration on the Details tab. Next, add the products that may be used to complete the incident type, along with an estimated quantity. This is the default quantity that will appear on the work order to help technicians plan their inventory, but it can be edited later on. Finally, add services for labor that may be billed if this incident type is added to a work order. Rather than an estimated quantity, enter an estimated duration for the labor. Other than that, you can specify the characteristics or skills that are needed to perform this incident type. This is also factored into scheduling the right personnel. If the incident type requires multiple people to complete, leave the characteristics blank and relate a requirement group to it for multi-resource scheduling. Next, you should consider creating work order substatuses based on your business processes. Work order substatuses add detail and clarity to where the work order is in its life cycle. As an example, field service comes with standard work order statuses such as Open-Unscheduled, Open-in-Progress, and more. For each of those statuses, you can add a substatus. So when the work order is Open-Unscheduled, you can create custom substatuses like New or Ready for Dispatch. When the work order is Open-Scheduled, you can say whether it is confirmed or just proposed. And when the work order is Open-Completed, you can have a substatus indicating that a follow-up is required. It is also common to have workflows that trigger based on these substatuses. Lastly, for each substatus, you can indicate if it should be the default when the work order has the related system status. Administrators should also be aware of settings unique to the field service app. In the same settings section, go to Field Service Settings. There are many settings here across the entire field service app, but let's look at a few that relate to work orders. First, you can add a work order prefix that will appear before every work order number. Secondly, you can decide if an invoice should automatically be generated when a work order is closed and posted. You may want to set this to never if invoices are handled in a separate system. And in the other section, you can decide if addresses should be auto-geocoded. This means if you enter an address on the work order, the system will automatically try to locate it and add a latitude and longitude. Because work order locations are so important for scheduling, you should set this to yes. Let's take a closer look at the work order fields and processes to create, book, and view them. From the Field Service app, go to Work Orders and select New. First thing to do is select a service account. This defines the customer of the work order and where the field technician will need to go to. This uses the standard Dynamics account records that are shared with sales and customer service apps. Then you can choose a billing account, which can be the same or different from the service account. This is who the invoices are sent to and is generally the parent account in situations where there are many service locations. In our example, we related the AdventureWorks billing account to the AdventureWorks engineering service account, so it was filled in automatically. Then select a work order type to classify the job. Enter a price list that will define how the parts and services are priced for the final customer. In our example, we related a price list to our work order type, so it was populated automatically. Then define a primary incident type. This is the exact reason for the visit. This will populate a description and a duration if the incident type was configured with those values. Then save. You'll see a notification on the top that the incident type is populating products, services, and service tasks in the background. But for now, let's take a closer look at the related service account. Because the service account dictates where the work order will take place, it should have an address. Enter an address and the record will be automatically geocoded because of the field service setting we entered earlier. You can also manually select the geocode button in the top ribbon. If the service account is geocoded, then a latitude and longitude will appear in the scheduling section. Next, you can add specific field service settings to an account, and most of this information will be passed down to work orders when they're created. Enter a price list for account-specific pricing. Enter a billing account if applicable. Note that if you use a billing account, you will want to enter a price list on the billing account. Service territory defines what geographical region this account belongs to and can be used in scheduling. Work hour template defines the time zone and helps schedule appropriate resources. Travel charge type defines how the technician's travel time and distance can be billed to the end customer. Work order instructions is a text field that is passed down to the instructions field on the work order. This information will populate on the work order by default, but can be edited at the work order level as needed. Back on the work order, we can see the work order inherits the service account, location, and geocode. We also have the option to choose if the primary incident relates to a specific customer asset at the service account location. From the incident type, products are populated, services are populated, and service tasks are populated. However, for each of these records, you can add and delete as needed as you build the work order. Back on the Summary tab, we can see the work hour template was populated from the service account. Our SLA timer is already configured and going, and we can add a specific SLA which will populate our promised time windows for scheduling. The Settings tab mostly deals with how the work order should be scheduled. Enter in a priority to help dispatchers understand how important it is, and priority is also considered by automated scheduling. Work location is set to on-site, indicating that the work order takes place at the customer's location, the service account. Service territory is also populated from the service account, as well as instructions. As needed, you can enter more time preferences for when the work order should be scheduled, such as a date range in the date window fields, or a time of day range in the time window fields. Fulfillment preferences are a powerful option that organize schedule search results into neat appointment time slots. And lastly, the Related To section shows if the work order is related to another work order, an agreement, opportunity, or case. Let's take a look at products, services, and tasks. This product was automatically created based on our incident type. It has a line status of estimated by default, meaning it hasn't been used for the work order yet. In the Estimate tab, you'll see we expect 2 units of this product to be used, and the pricing, which is derived from the work order price list. Besides relating to this work order, products can also be related to incident types, customer assets, bookings, and purchase orders or agreements. In the Other section, you'll see the price list that indicates pricing and whether an entitlement was enabled. Entitlements are a feature that dynamically adjusts pricing based on a number of factors like account, asset, incident, and more. Navigating back to the work order and then services, you'll see services are very similar to products. The main difference is services are measured in duration and not units because it is a labor. And finally, here are the service tasks that are the 5 checklist items the technician should perform. After being added to this work order from the incident type, you can add or delete items or even change the order by editing the line order fields. Adding a product or service is as simple as selecting a product from your catalog and entering an estimated quantity or duration. The incident type also added a characteristic indicating the skills needed to perform this work order. As needed, you can add more characteristics. Next, it is important to note that you can add multiple incident types to a work order, in addition to the primary one chosen earlier. As you add more incident types, the total duration of the work order will be increased and more products, services, and tasks are added on. Next, let's look at scheduling this work order to the best and closest technician. When you schedule a work order, you are actually scheduling the related resource requirement that defines what kind of resource is needed. From the work order, head to Related, then Requirements. When a work order is created, a requirement is automatically created. Here we can see scheduling related information that we entered on the work order, like the date range it should be scheduled, the duration, and the characteristics or skills. We can add more details as needed, like which resource types can be scheduled to this work order. Or we can add a specific role that is required. In Resource Preferences, you can define which resources are preferred, restricted, or must be considered. In the Scheduling tab, we can see the work location, priority, and territory we added on the work order. In the Field Service section is a lookup to the work order. And if you have Resource Scheduling Optimization, which is the automated scheduling solution enabled in your environment, you can choose if this work order requirement should be automatically scheduled by setting to Optimize. After you're done choosing what kind of resource you need for this work order, you can select Book from the requirement or even the original work order. This will trigger the Schedule Assistant. And by default, the Schedule Assistant is filtering in the left pane based on all the information on the requirement, like date and time, characteristics, and roles. From here, we can simply select a resource. You'll see when he or she can leave and when they are expected to arrive and finish. And then choose Book and Exit to schedule this resource, or choose Book to schedule this resource and continue to schedule others for the same work order requirement. Scheduling a resource creates a booking record, and you'll see related bookings on the work order. You'll also see that same booking visualized on the schedule board, where the size of the booking block relates to the work order duration. And finally, it will also show up on the map. The final step is for the technician to view the work order and record updates on the Field Service mobile application. From the mobile app, the technician will go to Settings and sign in with his or her Dynamics user credentials. They will use the user record related to the bookable resource that the work order was scheduled to. Selecting the sync icon will sync all new data, including the new booking, to their device. And using the globe icon, the technician can choose to work in offline mode using only local data without internet, or in online mode working directly off the server. Once data is synced, they will see the recently booked work order in the Booking tab. This form shows both the booking record and the work order record on a single form. From here, the technician can see all the work order information and record their progress by updating fields.